see with study abroad and gap year, thinking about those two things together, in the video from last week, we talked about how, a gap year is essentially a period of time where you're going to be doing some experimental learning. So it could be where you are, as we talked about, working, maybe you're working full-time for that year to try and save up some money before you go to college. Maybe you are doing an internship that is for free, but you're just trying to build up your network, build up your credibility and get some experience. That's great. But a lot of students also want to know about study abroad during gap years. I can say that that is absolutely possible. It's just really going to depend on sort of what you want to do and where you want to go. So I know quite a few students who have, let's say come from the United States or from Canada or from parts of Europe, who will go off to a different country and do a certificate. So that is something that is a little bit simple, because again, it sounds a little bit sort of oxymoron, because you're like, well, you want to take a gap year, but then you're still studying. It's like, yes, but certificates are usually very hyper focused on one topic. So maybe let's say you're going into engineering. That is what you want to do in college. But before you do that, you want to focus on chemical engineering. Maybe, you want to get really technical into that. I don't really know the other types of engineering, that just came in my mind. But maybe you want to go off and do a certificate in chemical engineering. And you feel like, it's just going to be for 6 to 9 months. Maybe it's going to be for 1 year, that 1 year that you're taking off. But that's going to help you because you want to apply to this really elite program. And you know that maybe your grades were not the top notch in high school, but you can also show, well, hey, I took this extra step to go get the certificate, and I got a chance to really, dive down deep into the topic areas and sort of really understand what's going on. And it sort of will show that, you were really passionate and interested about it. So I've known students that have gone off to study and do a certificate program, because it's typically easier than regular studies. It's usually cheaper, and it also is a shorter program. The other thing too that you should consider if you want to do a gap year and you want to have something where you're going to be studying abroad is some type of organized program where there's a focus on nonprofit or a mission. So as I mentioned before, here in the US, doing AmeriCorps is super popular when students go off and do a gap year, because again, it's very well known and it's tied to nonprofit mission, and they're doing great deeds around the world. And so you have that ability to sort of show that, you weren't just sort of waffling off the entire year. You were, going off and building houses somewhere, or going off and doing a certification to become a Army Reserve or whatever it was. There's so many different things that they do in AmeriCorps, but that's just an example. And a lot of countries have their own version of that, or something similar, where you sort of go off and do these civic programs that are very structured, very detailed, but very sort of well known. And so I would definitely recommend that. And a lot of times foreign students can also apply to join those things. So it's like, you can figure out and do research and see if you can do it as a foreign citizen in another country for a short period of time. That is often a possibility. So I would definitely recommend doing that if you want to get some study abroad in. The third way to study abroad as a gap year student is to see if you can get an extension. Now, this is a little bit tricky, because what it basically means is it's hard but I have heard students do it, because you basically have to be typically enrolled in a program to be a study abroad student in most programs. So you either have to be in high school, secondary school, or you have to be in college or grad school. But let's say that you were in a situation where, let's say you're watching this video right now and you are a sophomore in high school. So you still have plenty of time. And you're like, I want to go study abroad when I'm a senior. Now, that is going to depend on a couple things. So number one, you want to make sure, obviously, that you have sort of talked through your plans, not just with your parents, but also with your advisors at your campus. It definitely is possible. Make sure that you talk through it with your advisors at your campus, because you're going to want to understand where you sort of fall in terms of what you're going to need to graduate. You don't want to do this if it's going to hinder you from graduating on time, if that's going to be important to you, which it should be. I mean, you want to go ahead and graduate on time. But if you are in a situation like many of us were at the end of high school or at the end of college, where you're just working on elective credits, this might work out for you, this method, because basically if you're able to study abroad and you're able to apply the credits that you're getting for your diploma, that is great. So that's going to be great. So let's say you decide that you want to study abroad during your senior year, maybe your final semester of your senior year. That is great. So it's like you're able to go ahead and apply those credits to get your diploma, to get your degree. That's wonderful. But then if you have been an outstanding student within the program, and whatever study abroad program you're doing, as long as it's not tied to your school specifically, but let's say it's a nonprofit program or an independent program at a school abroad somewhere, you've been a great student, there may be an opportunity to extend it, which would mean that yes, you've already graduated. Let's say that the program runs from September to May of the following year, and so that means that you graduate, let's say in May, but then you want to extend it a little bit longer. There is always some inroads there. A lot of programs are happy to keep people on even after they have graduated. If they know that, they're a good student, they haven't given the program any trouble, they're going to be a great ambassador for the program. And, they worked really well with their school to make sure that they could get their credits transferred over. A lot of programs don't really mind doing that. So that's sort of a roundabout way of being able to get into and then stay into a study abroad program once you've graduated high school, because it is a little bit tricky needing to be enrolled in a program, but then also wanting to do something and not be in a program, if that makes any sense. So I would say that should probably be your last, sort of choice. You definitely might want to consider the other two choices, but just know that is potentially something that you could do. And again, there's so many unique programs out there that, there's so much opportunity to be able to do something like that. So definitely don't feel hopeless as if, everything is sort of lost after you get to your senior year and you can't do it. You definitely can. And I definitely want to help you be able to do that. If you have any questions about gap year programs, study abroad programs specifically, or study abroad during your gap year, please do not hesitate to reach out to me. You can leave a comment below, or you can email me directly. All my information is below in the description box. So email, Instagram, Facebook, and Pinterest as well. I hope to see you on one of those platforms or all those platforms. Please go ahead and like this video, share this video, and please subscribe to the channel. I release videos every single Friday and sometimes on Wednesdays as well. I hope to see you back here very soon.